bọ́jọ́ bá pẹ́ títí ọjọ́ àpín o bọ́nà bá jìnnà jìnnà àdópin o àti sáré àdópin aré àmàtí jìyà àdópin ìyà o àti sunsun àti kan ògiri ó má di gbẹ̀yìn kọ́ lọ́tẹ̀ ìmọ̀ o bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o.
ilé òní gbóná kárẹ́nu omi kọ́lé ayé òní kóró kálọ̀ dífá ọ̀run o láyé náà la ó wà títà ó fi ṣẹ́gun lójú àwọn ọlọ́tẹ̀ ẹkún akọjá òkùnkùn ajímọ́lẹ̀ fáwa ọmọ Yorùbá ọjọ́ ayọ̀ súnmọ́lé o.
Ó di láéláé pọ́npá ó mà di láéláé pọ́npá Yorùbá ò ní dọ̀bálẹ̀ ẹ̀fẹ́ nìkan ó di gbẹ̀yìn kọ́ lọ́tẹ̀ ìmọ̀ o.
yé ẹ dìde dìde bí ológun ẹ bá jàgà sílẹ̀ o ẹ rántí àtọmọdọ́mọ kò ní sún wa kò ní rẹ̀ wá bá ó fi ṣẹ́gun tẹni tó dé ó sàn ju ẹni tirẹ̀ ń bọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ò ní ní dúró kẹ́dúró gbọ̀n kẹ́dúró gbọ̀n kẹ́dúró gbọ̀n 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 àtùpàgbé oníkànnì o bí ẹ bá sùn ẹ gbé ọjọ́ ayọ̀ súnmọ́lé o.
bí a bá kú tí a bá jí a ó mẹ́ni rè fẹ́ràn ẹni bá ṣàìsàn wò ni yóò lè mọyì àlàáfíà bí a bá ṣaláìní ká tó wá ní a ó mọyì ìgbà bá ń fojoojúmọ́ jẹun ata ó dífá fún Yorùbá tí í ṣe ọmọ Odùduwà bàbá mi òkè gàgàgà tí í ṣe lépè lẹ́yìn aṣòótọ́ Ọ̀yọ́ Ìbàdàn Oǹdó Ìjẹ̀ṣà Ilé Ifẹ̀ o.
wá ohùn alóore Odùduwà ló ń pè.
Àkúrẹ́ Ọ̀wọ̀ Ìkàrẹ́ Ẹ̀yìn Èkìtì ẹ gbóhùn Ìgbé o.
wá ohùn alóore Odùduwà ló ń pè.
Ìbàràpá Ilé Ẹ̀gbádò Ẹ̀yìn Ọ̀ṣun ẹ gbóhùn Ìgbé o.
wá ohùn alóore Odùduwà ló ń pè.
Ẹ̀yin Ìjẹ̀bú ọmọ Àlárẹ̀ o ẹ̀yin Ẹ̀gbá ọmọ Lísàbí.
wá ohùn alóore Odùduwà ló ń pè o ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá ọjọ́ ayọ̀ súnmọ́lé o.
àìbìkítà wa lóòótọ́ o agbàgbà mọ́ra àgbà àwọn èèyàn mọ́ra aláìkí kálejò wa à ń gbàlejò ilẹ̀ Yorùbá but carelessness ti wọ̀ ọ́ we don't care I don't care attitude ti wọ̀ ọ́ olè àjẹbánu ó ti wọ̀ ọ́ bá a ṣe sọ pé kọ́ má talẹ̀ fún ààrẹ mọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà làwọn ọba kan sì gbowó ńláńlá lọ́wọ́ ààrẹ tí wọ́n ń talẹ̀ fún wọn tọ́ọ̀ kí ẹ̀ ọba àta gbogbo ogún wọn fún wọn tí wọ́n ní káwọn sá ti lówó wá yàtọ̀ sí àwọn tí wọ́n ń ṣòwò ẹrú jọ́kìnní àná tí wọ́n ń ta ọmọ Yorùbá káàkiri fẹ́rú nítorí umbrella gíláàsì ìwòpè tí wọ́n fẹ́ gbà àtàbọ̀ tó ń gan àwo tí wọ́n fi jẹun tí wọ́n ò rírí wọ́n torí ẹ̀ wọ́n lè kó ẹrú 50 fún wọn kí wọ́n fi gbọ́ umbrella látọ́ máa ń ta láwọn ọba lórí àwọn yẹn náà gbọ́n wọ́n á yá kó wá bìbà láti ìlú wọn so selfish interest ó ti wà lára àwọn ọba tipẹ́ ṣùgbọ́n mo gbé fún yín sáà kábíyèsí Gádé Ọláoyè ní tí bàbá yẹn ṣe di sin ó sì dùn mọ́ mi nínú. He went there and he asked for the survival of his country, of his city. Gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tí bàbá yẹn fẹ́ torí pé ó ń fìyà jára gbogbo ẹni bàbá yẹn lọ béèrè á dẹ̀ rí i ìta ní káwọn ọba ṣe rèé kì í ṣe kẹ́ ẹ lọ máa gbowó ẹ́fílóòpù lẹ́nu Àbújá tẹ́nu bá jẹ ojú àtì tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá lánú béèrè tó jẹ́ ẹ́fílóòpù lẹ́gbà ẹ̀ ní lè béèrè láíláí ọba tó dẹ̀ jẹ tìlú fẹ̀ ìlú ò mà ní gbàgbé ẹ̀ èyí tó sì jẹ tìlú dahoro òun náà ni Ọlọ́run ìtàn nígbàgbé òun náà. Kò ní yà mí lẹ́nu lọ́la tá a bá rí Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ tó dàbí small London, tá à ń rí federal might, tá à ń rí federal presence ní Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ lọ́la. I will not be surprised, because their king has asked for it from Mr. President. Ọ̀dọ̀ mọ̀ pé yẹn máa expedite action. Ọmọ wọn náà ló di gọ́vnọ̀ láàrin ọdún kan àbọ̀ sí méjì, ló ti sáré build gbogbo àwọn tó build sílùú yẹn bẹ́ẹ̀. Wọ́n tún lọ bá sìn, ọba wọn náà tún wà kí ìlú yẹn kó sáré di ńlá. Ẹ̀yin ọba wa, ẹ jẹ́ ká emulate bàbá yẹn. Ẹ béèrè fún ẹ̀tọ́ ìlú, ẹ má béèrè fẹ́tọ́ ara yín. Tẹ́ bá béèrè fẹ́tọ́ ìlú, naturally lẹ̀tọ́ ara yín máa wá bá yín. Kódà aráàlú bá fẹ́ kú lé yín lórí. Kò ní yà mí lẹ́nu lọ́la táwọn ọmọ Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ táwọn graduate wọn tí 70% wọn bá wà employed. I will not be surprised tomorrow tí agricultural product tó bá di nǹkan tí wọ́n tó jẹ́ major cash crop fún àwọn ará Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ lọ́la, because their ọba has already made it known to the government pé come a ní àwọn nǹkan tẹ́lẹ̀ fi ṣe cash crops lọ́dọ̀ wa tó lè dówó ńlá. Ní tí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì dẹ̀ máa fẹ́ gbọ́ nìyẹn. Lọ́la tí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì bá rán minister for agriculture lọ́bẹ̀, ẹ lọ verify ìtọ́ba yẹn sọ, tán bá rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ó parí nìyẹn. Wọ́n lè lọ gbé kíní juice ńlá kan kí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì gbé síbẹ̀, kán employ bí 50,000 bí 10,000 ọmọ ìlú, ó parí. Àbí ṣó possible kí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì dá factory ńlá síbẹ̀, kán employ ọmọ aráàta, kójọ́ máa bẹ́kùtà náà máa kó kún bí àbọ̀mọ́ Ìjẹ̀bú, ṣó possible? Ọmọ Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ ló máa kọ́ ríṣẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀. Sóríire ò ti dé bá lóyè true ọba wọn. Irú àwọn developmental project báyìí la fẹ́, irú àwọn developmental attitude báyìí la fẹ́ látọ̀dọ̀ ọba.
La fi mọ bá ilẹ̀kẹ̀ la fi mọ jòjì èdè wa làmì ìdánimọ̀ wà. Pẹ̀lú ìgbìyànjú kéde Yorùbá kó má dohun ìgbàgbé kó má dohun àfìsẹ́yìn tí egun fi sọ. Ọ̀mọ̀wé Gbénga Fágbọnú ti kó o jáde. Dictionary Yorùbá aláwòrán kúnlẹ̀ káàkì okùn fọ́fọ́ láti ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ dópin ló ṣàtúpalẹ̀ àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá tó ta kókó. Pẹ̀lú àlàyé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ látẹnu olùkọ́ àgbà. Kò ṣeé mà níní fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá o, àgbàlagbà tàbí àwọn ọmọdé ìsẹ̀yìn. Àwọn àkójọpọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá tó ta kókó tó lé ní ẹgbẹ̀rún mẹ́tàlá pẹ̀lú àwọn àwòrán tí yóò mú òye ọ̀rọ̀ yéni ní kankan. Dictionary Yorùbá ti wà jákèjádò ilé ìtajà àti ilé ìtàwé jákèjádò àgbáńláyé. Fẹ̀yìn tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ rà tàbí tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ kó lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ janturu. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà ní United Kingdom, ẹ̀jẹ̀ kò sí ìyáàfin Dorcas Amusan Fagbonu ní 119 Little Houghton Lane, Bradford BD5 OHT tàbí kẹ́ pè wọ́n sórí ẹ̀rọ ọ̀bánisọ̀rọ̀ yìí +447401222557. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lórílẹ̀‐èdè Amẹ́ríkà ẹ máa pọ̀ sí ọ̀gbẹ́ni Olúwaṣọ́ṣọ́yà ní 601 Cypress Station TR Unit 510 Austin, Texas. Tàbí kẹ́pẹ̀ wọ́n sórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ +175727735552. Ẹ̀yin ti Yúróòpù ẹ kàn sí ìyáàfin Mary Buckner Eriksbo Pittsburgh Ostergaard 3242434 Angel Gogibog City ní Sweden. Tàbí kẹ́pẹ̀ wọ́n sórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yìí +4673832929. Ẹ̀yin torílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà ìrọ̀rùn ló bá dé o. Ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn ẹ máa kàn sí bàbá Gbàgede ìmọ̀ tẹlifíṣàn tàbí kẹ́pẹ́ wọ́n sórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yìí 08130672361. Ẹ̀yin ti ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ẹ pè ọ̀mọ̀wé Victor Taiwo sórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yìí 08126923916. Kò ṣeé má níní o fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá o.
Today's lecture is for every indigenous people across the world, one. And today's lecture is for all indigenous people in Nigeria, all indigenous people in West Africa, all indigenous people in Africa. And it is a lesson that the Yoruba people must understand and we must really, really inculcate. I want to say this. The politicians are not going to help us. The politicians are not coming to help the Yoruba race. We are on our own. And because we are on our own, we need to do the needful, which is to fortify ourselves with wisdom and understanding, and to be able to navigate this dangerous period. Firstly, tonight we are not here to criticize any religion. Whether you're a Yoruba Muslim, you're a Yoruba Christian, you're a Yoruba, this is not the time for that. This is not the time for humanity and all those things. It doesn't work. This tonight is the night for real politics. And I want you to open your mind and open your heart. Because what we are discussing today is very, very passionate to many of us. It's very passionate it's very important and crucial to the survival of the entire world. As we speak currently, Mali is about to fall. What happened in Afghanistan is about to happen in Mali. The information reaching us is that the entire city of Bamako has been surrounded by Al-Qaeda elements. The Al-Qaeda groups, army, militias have surrounded the city of Bamako. So the capital city of Bamako is about to be captured. And if it is captured, that will be the third country that has fallen in the past 4 years into the hands of groups that are called terrorists in the world. I'm going to give the first one is the Taliban, the capture of Afghanistan by Taliban. For many, many years, many of us saw it on news, how Western media, local and both international, have always painted Taliban as a terrorist organization. Taliban is always categorized within the ranks of Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and other Boko Haram and other so-called quote-unquote terrorist organization. But we saw what many thought was impossible. How Taliban fought against the greatest superpower of this century, which is the United States of America. And not only that, they were able to defeat other coalition forces which were part of NATO. And they were able to take over Afghanistan. So Taliban, that was categorized as a terror organization, as a terrorist organization, took over Taliban, and they are currently ruling Taliban, heaven did not fall. Another second example, also in Asia, was when Al-Nusra Front, which was an affiliate organization of Al-Qaeda, led by al-Jolani, took over Syria and is currently the president of Syria. So Taliban took over Afghanistan. Al-Qaeda has taken over Syria because al-Jolani was a top-rank commander of Al-Qaeda. I did not say this. In fact, up until the time that he became the president of Syria, he had a multi-million dollar bounty on his head, placed on his head by the American army. So what is happening in Mali should scare every single one of us. Because once Mali falls, the entire West Africa, we now have a terror organization in charge of Mali. So-called terror organization in charge of Mali in the 21st century. And let me now tell you, in geopolitics, there is no morality. We see right in our faces how Al-Jolani, who was part of Al-Qaeda, is now being seen as the legitimate ruler of Syria by America, by Britain, and even Western power, even Asian powers, from China and to Eurasian power to like Russia. So don't think Don't think because it has happened in the past 3-4 years. We live in very dangerous times. It has happened in Afghanistan. It has happened in Syria. If Mali falls tonight, because we are really praying for the Mali for the Malian authorities. We are praying for them because we are praying for them that they are able to survive. But the news we are getting is very dire. The entire city of Bamako is surrounded. All the major cities have been taken over by Al-Qaeda. Mali is going to fall any moment from now. If Mali survives, it is going to be a great victory for African civilization, for indigenous African civilization, because Mali is the seat of indigenous African scholastic achievements. The first university in the African world, like the University of Jena, University of Timbuktu. So Mali is extremely important. And that was where Mansa Musa built one of the most prosperous, glorious empire ever built by mankind. And when wheat falls, it means Al-Qaeda now has resources. It has the legitimacy to now declare war and now be backing non-state actors that are already waging brutal war against the Nigerian state for the past 16 years. So I have to say this so that many of you understand, because there's a media blackout, because they do not want a lot of people to panic in West Africa about what is happening. So this is what we are currently facing. According to different research papers, the Sahel of West Africa is the most dangerous place on earth as we speak. For many years, we used to think it is the Middle East. For many years, people used to think the Middle East was the major problem of the world. When people hear the Middle East, there's a kind of phobia. There's a kind of terror that comes into our spine. But as we speak, the Sahel is far more dangerous than the Middle East. And what do we call the Sahel? Sahel is just the buffer between the Sahara Desert, between North Africa and the tropical West Africa. Many of these places are the seats and the base of many great empires, caliphates, and civilizations in Africa for the past 2,000 years. And the Sahara spreads right from the shores of the Atlantic Ocean, from Mauritania, straight into Sudan, straight into Ethiopia and Eritrea, into the Indian Ocean, the Red Sea. That is where that is where the Sahel is. And for the past 400, 500 years, what we've seen in history, in anthropology, in geopolitics, is that anything that affects the Sahel affects the entire West Africa. It pains us, and many of us are afraid that most West African states are not prepared for what is coming. Our political elites are still interested in politics, in politicking, and trying to be politically correct together with their followers who think everything is politics. And they do not understand that we are talking about a life and death situation that we currently face. What about the youth? I want to say the truth. The current youth, the Gen Zs, they are one of the most fortunate demography in the history of the human race. It is in their lifetime that technology and human capability in the field of science and technology is increasing by leaps and bounds. But the reality is, despite all these things about them, they lack the basic knowledge of geopolitics. And the Gen Z youth have become the cannon folders of destabilization across the world. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to give you an instance. There's a Yoruba proverb tó sọ wípé ọmọ tí a kọ́ ló máa gbé ilé tá kọ́ tà. A children that we do not train is going to destroy the house that is going to sell the house that we built with our sweat. You look at Mozambique, it is the Gen Zs. If you look at most of the places where coup d'etats have taken place, all across West Africa, all across Africa, it is the Gen Zs that have always started what they think is revolution. They create anarchy, they burn properties, and they create chaos. Finally, which leads to instability. Because that is the only way that they think they can pass across their aggression. Because most political elites in Africa, I used to think it was a Yoruba problem or a Nigerian problem. Now, with what I've seen for the past few years, I now know that it is a Pan-African problem. So what do I mean by a Pan-African problem? The elites are totally not in touch with the people they are governing, which has led to the continuous destabilization and youth restlessness that have now given rise to coup d'etat opportunistic elements who are also plain robbers. I'm talking about these career soldiers that have now taken over many places, many governments in Africa. From Mozambique to Guinea, from Guinea to Niger, from Niger to Mali, from Mali to Guinea, from Guinea to Burkina Faso. We've even seen young people try to do PR for hardcore dictators in the name of trying to create revolutions all across West Africa. This was how majority of the African countries, after they got independence, post-1950, one after the other, destroyed the nascent democracy they had, and they destroyed themselves. And Africa became a poster boy for misgovernance, backwardness, and misrule. So if you're listening to me, especially Yoruba Gen Zs, we must never listen to those that continue to tell us, let us go and burn down things. You burn down things, and who is going to take over power? Because I'm going to tell you what happened in Sudan. It was the Gen Zs in Sudan that organized the protests that destroyed Omar al-Bashir, and which led to the emergence of these two generals, al-Burhan and Emeti Dagolo, who are currently fighting one of the most bloodiest civil war in the history of Africa. So, we, the Yoruba Gen Zs, we must be very careful at this critical moment. There are people who want us to be cannon foders, just as the way Hausa Talakawas, just as the way the Yoruba Talakawas of the Oyo Empire were used as cannon foders for the destruction of the Oyo Empire, and how the Hausa Talakawas were used as the destruction of the Hausa city-states that handed over their birthright to foreign Fulani rulers that have kept them in that particular situation to this present moment. Now, let's talk about Trump and Nigeria. Is it true that there is a kind of genocide in Nigeria? I'm not talking about Christian genocide or Muslim genocide or human genocide. Do we even have any form of genocide at all within Nigeria? I'm asking a rhetorical question. Search your hearts The politicians that are telling you to do PR, giving you money for data and say, oh, let us shut it down. You are wasting your time because you are talking about America. It is not just one mushroom country that is talking about this. The greatest country on the surface of the earth, the United States of America, is the one that is talking about genocide within Nigeria. What I thought the Nigerian government should have done was not all this trying to be politically correct. What the Nigerian government should have done was to take the criticism and start leading by example and cracking down on religious fundamentalist hate preachers within the Nigerian space, especially in the core north and anywhere they have within Nigeria. Is there genocide in Nigeria? Is there Christian persecution in Nigeria? Unfortunately, we all know this, that there is no Christian persecution in the southwest of Nigeria. There is no Christian persecution in the south of Nigeria. There is no Christian persecution in the southeast of Nigeria. But do we have Christian persecution in the northwest of Nigeria? The answer is yes. Do we have a Christian persecution in the northeast of Nigeria? The answer is yes. Do we have Christian persecution, killings in the north central of Nigeria? The answer is yes. It is not in my words, but in the words of General T.Y. Danjuma, the former chief of staff, that elder statesman, who not the first time, the second time, the third time, and fourth time, a whole general who fought in the Biafran War and fought in several wars in several wars across Africa, who are one of the fathers of the Nigerian nation, crying and telling innocent Nigerians, especially helpless middle belt farmers, to arm themselves and defend themselves against Fulani bandits, militias that are killing, maiming, and destroying lives and properties in tens of thousands unabatedly. And our political elites, the federal government, the state government, seems helpless to the situation. I have said this several times, that there are some problems that President Tinubu cannot solve. In terms of policy, there are some problems in Nigeria that policy is going to solve, and there are some problems in Nigeria that we need structural changes. Nigeria, a lot of things is happening in West Africa, and Nigeria is not prepared. I said Mali is about to fall. Burkina Faso is almost ungovernable. Niger is currently arming militias. Is arming different tribes to be declaring war against Al-Qaeda. Nigeria is currently fighting a brutal war of 15 years. Over 15 years against Boko Haram, ISIS. And there are different from Wula Wula to Lakurawa to JNIM to Ansaru to all sorts of terror organizations. Nigeria has more terror organizations than it has car companies. The way things are, and they are all within the northern parts of Nigeria. Our gallant armed forces are fighting left, right, and center. I'm using this opportunity to really thank the Nigerian army, because without them, many of you listening to me today will be in IDP camps. Many of us will not even have this opportunity to even address anybody. They are the reason why the country has not gone the way of Sudan. But I want to say one thing. It is better to buy books than buy bullets. I have said this several times. I gave countless lectures. But there is one thing I've seen about the Nigerian elites. They don't listen. Do we really want to buy books or we want to buy bullets? The children will refuse to train in the core north have taken guns and bullets against us. Our Nigerians are now killing Nigerians. It is the bitter truth. There is an army of radicalized people. They are in government. They are normal people everywhere. The way they think is totally anti-Nigerian and anti-Nigeria. And I want to say this. Many people might think the American government have their data. The American government, look, we need to stop all this propaganda. By thinking America this, America is not going to go to Singapore and accuse Singapore of not protecting the rights of Christians in Singapore. America is not going to go to Malaysia. Malaysia is a Muslim-dominated country and be saying that they are not protecting the rights of Muslims in Malaysia or Christians in Malaysia. America is not going to do that because the Malaysian authority are highly responsible. They are not like the Nigerian authority that are playing politics with the lives of innocent people. This is the problem. These are the issues that we need to talk about, that we need to properly sort out, and we need to properly call out. Now, I've seen a lot of people who do not understand what is going on in the Western world. In the Western world, there is a radical shift in the ideology in the Western world. And that ideology is Christian nationalism is back in the Western world. Liberalism, neoliberalism, open borders is gradually becoming unfashionable within the political class, within the political climate of the Connaught, of the Western world. Issues like multiculturalism is becoming outdated and totally useless within the Western world. So, meaning that they are now going back to factory setting which is not just protecting white interest, Anglo-Saxon interest. They are also protecting Christian interests because they perceive that they are being pushed out, especially the Christian countries in Africa and in Asia are being decimated and annihilated by non-state actors, which are funded by some powerful countries in the Gulf countries. This is the reality. You can ignore, you can do any form of whataboutism, but this is the bitter truth. We all know that the United Arab Emirates is the one sponsoring the Rapid Support Force, RSF, in Sudan. That is an open secret. We all know that Qatar has been playing a crucial role in the support of Hamas. It is also not a lie that Hezbollah is being funded and supported by Iran. And that is what is currently happening within the political space in the West. I'm also going to go further, especially America. America is the successor state to the mighty British Empire. America sees itself as the successor state to the Roman Empire. America sees itself as the custodian, the bastion, and the police of Western civilization. That is why it calls itself the #1 country in the world. And it is true. But within America currently, the evangelicals, when I'm talking about the evangelicals, I'm talking about the equivalent of the Pentecostals, are the ones that are controlling the politics of America as we speak. Meaning, there are a lot of foreign policies of America that are going to be that will be of great concern to countries that are battling Islamic fundamentalism. This is the bitter truth. It is not a lie that a Christian lady was lynched publicly, and the Nigerian government has not prosecuted or jailed or punished one single soul to this present moment. You cannot be having all these things and be saying that there is peaceful coexistence between Muslims and Christians in Nigeria. Nigeria is a secular country. Excuse me. Nigeria is a secular country. And because Nigeria is a secular country, we need to understand some fundamentals. The secularism of Nigeria is the fundamentals on which Nigeria stands. Nigeria is not a Muslim country. Nigeria is not a Christian country. It is a secular country. And Nigeria is a production and a creation of the West. Nigeria is a creation of European powers. This idea of this sovereignty that we love to come and romanticize on social media, we need to be careful about it. I remember when Trump in his first time was talking about Iraq, that there's nothing called Iraq. They created Iraq. They say there's nothing called Libya. They created Libya. And when they talk that way, they feel they have the right to do and undo with all these countries. Nigeria needs to be very careful. We need to do an internal introspection. A country might have so many potentials. It can have great potentials, but it might not fulfill those potentials because of radical elements within its ranks. So, Congo has so much potentials, rich in mineral resources, rich in all sorts of resources. But Congo is currently in a state of anarchy. Somalia has potentials. Potentials is not enough to be great in life. You can have potential and still do not fulfill that potential. Nigeria has potentials. Nigeria has what it takes to be the giant of Africa. But just like Chief Obafemi Awolowo want, that is why some of us, we do not take it lightly when some of our people try to start talking down on Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Chief Obafemi Awolowo warned about the future of Nigeria, that without properly defining what Nigeria is, what exactly is this Nigerian country? Is it a unitary system, a confederacy, ethno-linguistic federalism, federated unit, you name it, or a republican system? Or is it a Sharia country? Is it a theocratic country? What exactly is this country? If we do not answer all these questions, we are going to get ourselves into trouble. I feel sorry for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's a very great man. He's doing so much economic reform. But we have a big problem, big problem in Nigeria. There is a Nigeria that the Igbos want. Even though they're a landlocked ethnicity, they need access to the sea. They want access to the sea at all costs. How they are going to get it, we don't know. But they continue to make all these frivolous demands by asking a sitting president to take the lands of other people and give them access to the sea. And they are saying it is their right. And in order to fight against marginalization. This is the reality we find ourselves. What about the Connaught that goes about shouting Sharia law, Sharia law, Sharia law, even though millions of its children continue to roam the streets with absolutely nothing to show about it? This is the reality we have. Or what about the Ijaw people that are asking the federal government, the Nigerian states, to take the entire Ilaje land, the entire Ishekiri land, and go and create, add it to go and create another Ido state for them. This is the reality that we have within Nigeria. Different folks asking for making crazy demands within Nigeria. But we need to understand all this reality as Yoruba people. We should not be afraid because of all these discrepancies. It further validates what Chief Obafemi Awolowo says, that Nigeria is not a nation but a country of nations. So we should be very careful. We must not allow religious fundamentalists to come into our political space. You cannot be shouting one Nigeria and still be advocating for Sharia law. Sharia law has no place in a secular country. You cannot be using Hisbah police to harass people as if we are blind. You are talking about religious tolerance. Oh, Nigeria, oh, Trump is lying. There are more than hundreds of thousands of Hisbah police harassing non-Muslims, harassing the fundamentals. Even if I'm a Muslim, I might decide not to be governed by Sharia. It is my right. I'm in a secular country. But is that the reality that we have in Nigeria? This is the reality. If we decide not to practice democracy, let us stop it and stop deceiving ourselves. And let's declare that we are now a theocracy. This is what we should do, not this hanky-panky game that we are playing. Let's go further as we talk about Sudan today. Sudan means the land of the blacks. How the land of the blacks became an Arab country is another history on its own. The Arabs are not indigenous to Africa. The Arab invasion started around 700 AD, 600, 700 AD. That was when the first Arabs stepped their feet with their army into Africa. And bit by bit, and they were invited when there was a fight between different blocks, fighting about who was going to control and rule ancient Egypt. They came in. That is why never invite outsiders to help you to come and settle your issues. That is why if Yoruba people are having issues, we must never allow outsiders to come into our midst. If we have issues, because that was the mistake we made at Ilorin, Yoruba people having issues, the Are Ona Kakanfo having issues with the Alaafin of Oyo, and they started using foreign mercenaries, bringing out externals, and we got ourselves into trouble. Not only was Oyo Empire balkanized, it led to the most bloodiest century in the history of the Yoruba people, where millions of our people went into slavery. Not only did we not just go into slavery, our homeland was balkanized by European powers. After that, we were now forcibly and aggressively colonized. Some of our people started speaking German in Togo. Another group was speaking French. Another started speaking English. And that's how we became Nigerians. Some became Beninois. Another became Togolese. So we need to understand these fundamentals. But so in Sudan as it is a creation of British imperialism. Sudan has always been the base of the old Kushite kingdom. Sudan is a very unique country because that is where this blue Nile and the White Nile meets. It is a place of power. It is like where River Niger and River Benue meet in Lokoja. That is where Sudan, and that area is where the capital of Sudan was built, Khartoum. Because of that source of fresh water needed for human civilization in that desert arid area of the world. Like I said, Sudan means the land of the blacks. But the lands of the blacks has now become Arab land. That's why the talk like, oh, this land belongs to us is absolutely useless if you do not defend if you do not defend your land, you are surely going to lose that land. So Lagos belongs to the Yoruba people. Are we ready to fight to defend Lagos? Ibadan belongs to the Yoruba people. Are we ready to fight to defend Ibadan? Ilorin belongs to the Yoruba people. Are we ready to fight to defend Ilorin? The way we talk, we must never be shy. We must never be timid when it comes to asserting our territory, our boundary, our rights within the Nigerian equation. Kingdom of God suffer violence. We have to take some things and be assertive. Voxi populi, voxi dei. If our political class are not doing the right thing, we must do the right thing. The power belongs to us. Our politicians must do what we want. They have to do what we want. When we finally organize, because the Yoruba people are not a feudal people, we can never be feudalized. Sudan, there used to be two Sudan, Northern Sudan and Southern Sudan. It was amalgamated in 1956. So when people talk about, and Sudan is not supposed to break, there was never one Sudan before. It was the British who wanted to continue the Nigerian experiment, the Indian experiment, because there were three major experiments that the British did across the world: India, Sudan, and Nigeria. India, Sudan, and Nigeria. In India, the British knew that it was almost going to be impossible for the Hindus and the Muslims to coexist within the same country. And I'm not going to go into the politics that they played, because it was just the divide and rule, divide and conquer. For a minority to subjugate the majority, it has to be divide and rule, divide and conquer, to keep them in a perpetual state of docility and servitude. Same thing in Sudan. After the conquest of that axis, especially in northern Sudan by the Arabs, Southern Sudan was heavily Christianized by the British. That's why I keep on telling people, I studied British imperialism, and one thing I have seen is that the British do not respect religious brotherhood. Religion is nothing but a tool of British expansionism and population control. They do not use, because you are a good Christian, the British will now prefer you than, they do not operate that way. The British Christianized Southern Sudan, made them become more Catholic than the Pope. But do you know what happened? When the British were leaving after 1956, because they saw that they've been able to amalgamate the Muslim North and the Christian South in Nigeria, they should be able to do the same thing in Sudan. They did the same thing and they left. And they gave power, intentionally gave power to Northern Sudan. This was the origin of the problem. And Northern Sudan was controlled by religious fanatics. extremists who saw who saw Southern Sudanese as inferior. It was not just the issue of racism. It was not just the issue of having power. It was the issue of racism. It was the issue of superiority and inferiority complex. And that is the situation we also have in Nigeria, where you see certain elements in the core north referring to the rest of Nigeria or the rest of even the middle belt, calling them infidels, kafiri, hane. And that was what motivated many of their political choices. Nigeria cannot continue to paper over the cracks, because we need to have some hard conversations. We need to be able to have strong conversations about what kind of Nigeria are we building, not all these romantic thoughts. The Twitter is a microcosm of Nigeria. We must not deceive ourselves. And Sudan experiment, as we know it, failed, because South Sudan, they saw that they were going to be Arabized, because North Sudan saw the Sudan that the British amalgamated as an opportunity for them to continue their expansionism and their war, which was the conquest towards the continuous expansion and Arab agenda towards Central Africa and East Africa. So, to cut it short, Sudan broke apart. And I want to say this: it was not the British that broke Sudan apart. It was the Americans. And the evangelicals played a crucial role through via powerful lobbying groups in the breakage of Sudan into pieces. I hope we are understanding what we are talking about. The most dangerous and toxic mix is to have religion and state together. And that is why I have always been an advocate that we cannot afford to have religion and the state together in a country like Nigeria, anywhere in the world. What is happening in America is that we now have evangelical and state politics together. What we are currently seeing in Nigeria, before it used to be Islam, political Islam, and politics in northern Nigeria together. But what we currently have in Nigeria, in Yoruba land, is that we now have what we are currently seeing now is that there's now a result like what we saw especially during the time of during the last election in 2023. The Pentecostals are now mixing politics and religion also together. This is the aftermath. The way forward is not for us to be making speeches and be doing propaganda. Propaganda is not going to save Nigeria. What will save Nigeria is social justice and doing the right thing. Because Sudan invested millions of dollars into propaganda when it was being exposed how they were trying to spread Sharia law, because many people did not know. And when we try to talk about this, some people don't want to listen, because they do not understand. They do not understand. They think one way or the other they can just get away with impunity. What destroyed Sudan was that some fundamentalist radical elements in Sudan wanted to spread Sharia law all over Sudan. And that was what was needed for the fire to spark and for war to start in Sudan. The rest is history. Therefore, in 1914, between 1914 to 1919, therefore, the Sultan of the Masalit people, the four people, these are the indigenous people of that area of Darfur. And Darfur means the land of the black people in the indigenous and local language. There was a choice that should they become part of France, Chad, or Sudan. And the issue of Darfur is over 400,000 square kilometers. So when we say over 400,000 square kilometers, Darfur is as big as is like 5 times, almost 6 times as big as the entire southwest of Nigeria. That is how big Darfur. You can see that huge chunk of land belonging to the Masalites, the 4 people, black people. In that western, look, there's something about black people I've seen. And I hope that it is not going to be the destiny of black people for us to be exterminated on this earth. Because the way we reason and the way we behave like as people that are destined for destruction. It is the bitter truth. The way some of us are speaking with passion, I've seen people just talking like as if they have mental issues as regards to what we are currently discussing. I've seen people I respected going about saying there's no genocide in Nigeria. You people have no conscience. This is not politics. There is genocide in the middle belt of Nigeria. I'm still coming there. Darfur is of more than 7 times bigger than the entire southwest. Belongs to the black people. Now, the part of the reason why they fought against the French forces, British forces, they wanted to have their own independent country since 1914, 1919. So their forefathers actually did a good job. In the case of the Yoruba people, our forefathers actually did a good job. It is this current generation that want to turn the Yoruba people into the case of Darfur. Because the Darfur people walked into a trap in Sudan. They were Muslims, and they've been Muslims for more than 800 years. But they wanted their own independent country. That they signed a deal that with the colonial governments of the British and the French. But by 1994, they are going to have a referendum. That was what they signed. So just like the way their other counterparts, South Sudan, also had referendum. But they were so relaxed that the Arabs are our Muslim brothers. That's why I said there's nothing called Christian brotherhood and Muslim brotherhood in geopolitics. America is talking about Christians in the Middle Belt. It was not because the Holy Spirit spoke into... I'm not trying to blaspheme or insult the Christian folks, but it is about the interests. There has been lobby. There is lobby. There are some particular interest groups that has lobbied certain power brokers within the American government who have now said, we are interested in speaking about this crime against humanity that is taking place within Nigeria.
gbàgede ìmọ̀